So Callum Smith says he would be interested, possibly, in the prospect of fighting Anthony Yarde. He clearly would still like to be a world champion if he continues in boxing, because he spoke about a scenario where him and Anthony Yarde actually fight for a world title. Maybe he's thinking that after Beterbiev and Bivol face each other, the belts will get fragmented and that will give him an opportunity to pick one up. But it's kind of interesting that fighters just want to pick up a belt as a consolation prize rather than actually being the best in the division, because he knows at this point that he's not the best in the 175-pound division. If you're just picking up belts because it helps you get a few paydays before you retire, I understand that. But if you actually think the belt means something when you know you're not the best in the division, I don't know. Does he think he can do any better against Beterbiev if he fights him again? Does he think he could do any better against Dimitri Bivol? But anyway, he's open to the prospect of fighting Anthony Yarde, but based upon the stuff Smith has been saying in his interviews since that loss to Beterbiev, he is contemplating retirement. Anthony Yarde, on the other hand, there's no sounds or noises from him making it seem as though he wants to retire anytime soon. It's almost as if Anthony Yarde is just hitting his stride now as a fighter in terms of his confidence and so on. That's the way he comes across to me anyway. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but that's the way he's coming across. Because Yarde seems to have more zest for the game at this stage, maybe more hunger, maybe more ambition still than Callum Smith, I think that would play in to how the fight plays out. There are many people at this point picking Anthony Yarde to beat Callum Smith. We can compare both of their performances to Artur Beterbiev and see the differences in their particular styles and abilities, right? Yarde moves a lot more than Callum Smith. He's a more fluid fighter, more dynamic fighter, but he doesn't have the pedigree of Smith. He doesn't have the amateur background of Smith. Just because he did better against Artur Beterbiev doesn't necessarily mean that he can beat Callum Smith. Boxing is rock, paper, scissors. But more so than the styles, as I said a few moments earlier, the thing that would concern me for Callum Smith is the fact that he seems to have one eye on retirement, whereas Anthony Yarde still seems to be full of ambition. So if I had to pick a winner, if they were going to fight next, let's say they end up fighting in this Matchroom versus Queensbury 5 versus 5 show, I'll probably have to go with Yarde. He isn't the kind of offensive juggernaut that Artur Beterbiev is. Maybe Smith might be able to ride it out and lose a decision. But again, if he's really demoralized from the Artur Beterbiev fight, that might have cracked him mentally and weakened him sufficiently whereby Anthony Yarde might be able to come in and stop him as well. Anyway, that's my take on it. Give me your take in the comment section below.